Out of the first 5 teams in the Premier League, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man City, Arsenal, and Tottenham, who do I think is going to win the title? This Premier League title race is the closest title race I've ever seen, and as of the new year, only 6 points separates the top 5. We've seen teams like Spurs and Aston Villa do much better than expected this season, while other powerhouses like Man City or Arsenal are really slipping up and not performing as good as some people may have thought. But who is going to win the title? That is what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Starting off with Arsenal, because at the start of the season, I actually predicted that Arsenal were going to win the league this season. If you remember my Premier League prediction video that I made a few months ago, I did predict that Arsenal were going to finish in first place. And for most of the season, it was looking that way as they were top of the league for probably about 90% of the season so far. But in recent weeks, they have gotten a few really bad results. In Arsenal's recent 2 games against West Ham and against Fulham, they lost both of those games, and it wasn't like they were close games. They didn't play well, and this is honestly very unexpected for a team that I think for most of the season has been playing pretty well. If you remember, on Christmas Day, Arsenal were still first place in the Premier League, 1 point ahead of Liverpool, and now 10 days later, they're in 4th place, 5 points behind Liverpool. There has been a 6-point swing between Liverpool and Arsenal in the last 10 days, and it's not looking very good for the Gunners. Obviously, all the biggest teams in Europe do slip up here and there. We saw it this season with Man City about a month and a half ago. We saw it with Tottenham when James Maddison got injured and they ended up losing the next 3 or 4 games after that. But the problem is, when Arsenal slip up, it is very, very hard for them to recover. We saw it last season and we might be seeing it again now. If you look at an Opta analyst who used stats to analyze which teams are most likely to win the Premier League, on the 24th of December, Arsenal had a 26.8% chance to win the title. Fast forward to the 2nd of January, which as I'm recording this was 2 days ago, they only have a 4% chance to win the title. That is how little of a chance the analysts predict that Arsenal have to win the Premier League title. The reason why I did predict Arsenal to finish first place in the Premier League is because their transfers that they got during the summer, players like Declan Rice, Jurriën Timber, and even Kai Havertz were very good players, and I thought that they would fix most of the problems that they had last season. But with what has happened to them in their recent 2 games, it looks like they still have some of the components which led them to bottle the league last season, and I think they really need to step up their game if they still want to have any chance to win the title. Moving away from Arsenal, I'm now going to talk a little bit about Liverpool. At the start of the season, I didn't expect that Liverpool were going to perform this well because they had to revamp their whole entire midfield. They sold Fabinho, they sold James Milner, and they sold Henderson. And in replacement, they got players like Wataru Endo, McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai. But I didn't think that they were going to adapt fast enough to be able to help Liverpool this much. But clearly, Jurgen Klopp is a genius, because how he's gotten these players to play this well in such a little amount of time is honestly incredible. I was expecting that it would take this midfield at least 1 year to adapt to the Premier League and adapt to the Liverpool style of play, but they have adapted within months of coming to the club, and I think that is incredible, and a lot of credit deserves to go to Jurgen Klopp. But do I think Liverpool are going to win the Premier League? Honestly, I think they have a better chance than Arsenal. Obviously, like I already said, at the start of the season, I did predict that Arsenal were going to win. But with what has been happening to them in their recent games, I just don't know how well they're going to be able to recover. And Liverpool, being 100% honest, have looked like the strongest team this season. They have the least amount of losses at home, the most home wins, the most points in the league, and I do think at the current moment they're the most equipped to win the Premier League title. And referring back to Opta analysis, they do agree with me, because as of January 2nd, Liverpool have a 32.1% chance to win the Premier League title. Moving on to Manchester City, I still do think that they are the favorites to win the title. Last season, they were absolutely incredible. They won the treble. Erling Haaland was incredible. Kevin De Bruyne, their whole entire squad was phenomenal. And obviously, Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world. But we've seen this season that they don't look as comfortable as they did last season. They've slipped up in a few games, and especially against the top teams in the Premier League, they have gotten no wins against them. Against the likes of Arsenal, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Liverpool, even Chelsea, Manchester City couldn't win. And I do think that this is a little bit of a concern to them, because last season they were winning these games and that was why they did win the title. But this season, if they can't beat the top teams, I don't think they'll be able to win. Now, they have been lacking a few important players in their lineup. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne has been out for pretty much the whole season. Players like Rodri and Erling Haaland have missed a few games due to suspension and injury. And obviously, they did lose Gundogan in the transfer market. But even with these losses, they are still in the top 3 in the Premier League. And they still have a game in hand, meaning they could go up into second place if they win that game. So yes, I do think Man City are the most likely team to win the title, but I think it is very, very open. And like I said at the start of the video, I think this is the tightest Premier League title race that I've ever seen. Moving on to Aston Villa, and they are currently in second place, even though Man City do have a game in hand. And I think they have been really unexpectedly good this season. Like, they are a phenomenal team. The thing about Aston Villa is they don't have a lot of world-class players. They have a lot of good players, but they don't have a lot of world-class players like the likes of Man City or Liverpool. But their manager, Unai Emery, has been absolutely incredible this season. Like, he has been doing everything right and nothing wrong. When Unai Emery first took over Aston Villa last season, they were sat in 16th or 17th place because Steven Gerrard was a horrible manager. And since then, obviously, at the end of last season, they finished in 7th place. And this season, they have been in and amongst the top 5 for the whole season. But do I think that Aston Villa can win the Premier League title? I honestly don't know, because if you look about a month ago, they versed Arsenal and Man City back to back in the span of 1 week, and they won both of those games. I think they are really, really underrated. And I've been seeing a lot of people say that they have no chance to win the title, but you cannot write them off. With how good their team is playing, players like Llouis, Miguel, even Ollie Watkins, and with how good their manager is in Unai Emery, I think they definitely have a chance. And finally, moving on to Tottenham, who currently sit in 5th place. I think, similar to Aston Villa, they have been doing unexpectedly well this season, as last season under Antonio Conte, they really underperformed, and I think they finished in 8th or 9th place. But this season, with Ange Postecoglou in charge, I think they look like a whole new team. Obviously, Tottenham did get a few new players in the summer. James Maddison and Mickey van de Ven in particular have been incredible this season, and they have been one of the main reasons why Tottenham have been so good this season. But we saw when both of them got injured in the same game that the 3 or 4 games following that, Tottenham lost every single one of those games. Now, I do think that when these players do come back, Tottenham will be performing better again. And even in recent weeks, they have been performing very well. But I feel like Tottenham are just 1 or 2 injuries away from really damaging their Premier League title charge. If Postecoglou can make a couple transfers this winter, maybe buy another center back, maybe another midfielder, I do think that this can increase their squad depth and give them a higher chance to push for the Premier League title. But at the moment, I don't see them being able to win it. Now, never say never, because obviously they still do have a chance, but I think they are the least likely out of these 5 teams in winning the Premier League title. So to conclude this video, out of the first 5 teams in the Premier League, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man City, Arsenal, and Tottenham, who do I think is going to win the title? I think Liverpool are going to win. Like I already said at the start of the season, I thought Arsenal were going to win. Manchester City probably do have the best chance to win, but so far this season, and especially in recent weeks, Liverpool has been looking incredibly strong. And I think that while Mohamed Salah goes and plays in the AFCON tournament, if they can continue their incredible form, then I think they have the best chance to win the Premier League title. I think their team is fantastic. Jurgen Klopp is one of the best managers in the world, and I do think that they have the best chance to overtake Manchester City. And that is the end of this video where I talked about the top 5 teams in the Premier League and which team I think is going to win the Premier League title. If you guys agree with my choice, let me know in the comments down below. And obviously, if you think another team like Arsenal or Man City will win the Premier League title, again, let me know in the comments down below. If you like this style of video where I'm just talking to the camera and giving you guys my thoughts and opinions, again, let me know and I will be sure to upload more videos like this in the future. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.